It's Ant Hill Showtime. What's up, Jay? How's it going?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Why is it going wonderful?
Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Niners are rolling.
They are.
Lots of good things.
Yeah, big win for the 49ers against the Arizona Cardinals. Absolutely fantastic. I felt like all three parts of the game worked well. It was complimentary football at its finest. Offense, defense, special teams getting it done, and 4-0 in the division. 49ers
in like 20 years.
Yeah, this is interesting because we did one of the first anthill things we did was we broke down, like position by position, who had the best here and there. And there were some that, we caught a little bit of heat for. It felt like we were homers on a few things, but it looks like it's just playing out that way.
When you break it down.
Yeah, that it's just that it's working out. And, we've been talking about this for a while, that a lot the Cardinals, the Rams, the Seahawks went with more faster wide receivers. Like, they were playing a different style of football, and then they were matching up against each other. And then you had the outlier. The 49ers over there were about a power run game and tough physical defense. And I think we're seeing that on display.
Yep, we certainly are, because the contrast in styles, when you watch those three teams play each other, the games are all pretty tight. San Francisco's won all four of their division games by 15-plus points.
Yeah, what did you think about this matchup, 49ers versus Cardinals? It wasn't Kyler Murray, of course, so I'm sure some will say, they didn't get to see the actual Cardinals, but they had DeAndre Hopkins, they had A.J. Green, they had Rondale Moore for a couple of plays.
Yeah.
And then, they started to really get shut down. What did you think about the 49ers performance?
I think if somebody would complain about an injury, I think the Zach Ertz things actually was more of an issue than quarterback, because I think in terms of the offense as Kingsbury wants it run, I think Colt actually runs it how he wants it, but he's not necessarily the talented player Tyler is, but in terms of just strictly how Cliff wants the offense to look, I think he actually prefers McCoy in there.
Yeah, overall operation of the offense, Colt McCoy does it at a high level. Where Kyler gives you the advantage is the ability to extend, the ability to make big plays,
the wow plays,
create with your legs. I mean, with Kyler Murray, they have a solid run game. Without Kyler Murray, they're one of the worst running attacks in the entire league. And I think you're seeing that on display. James Conner could get nothing going. Got nothing going the week before. He got nothing going against the 49ers. That run game is struggling, and a lot of that has to do with that offensive line for the Cardinals. And the 49ers took full advantage. And the 49ers, this wasn't one of those weeks they played down to competition. They absolutely went off. 38-10 is an absolute beating for a divisional rival.
A long time. It really is like a dominant. The defense being itself, but to bury an opponent that's not in the Rams was great to see.
And one reason they buried an opponent was because of number 10, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, he's playing great, but I want to pose it like this: is Jimmy Garoppolo the perfect man for the job?
I mean, he's the perfect. If you watch the Golden State Warrior cheerleaders, he's the perfect man for something else. But is he the perfect man for this job? No, I'm not going to say that, because now this is where I'm going to bring in the Ryan Clark quote from SVP last night. He said what the Niners have done, and he said specifically what John Lynch has done is he's taken the physical, the physical
attributes, ability.
No, responsibility.
Okay.
Off of Jimmy's plate because they have so much talent around him. He said what John and Kyle have done is they put the mental responsibility to run the offense on Jimmy, but that's all he has. All he has to do is drop back, see who's open, and boom, get rid of it. So I thought that was an interesting kind of way. Whereas if you look at someone like Herbert or Mahomes or Josh Allen, they have the physical responsibility for the offense and mental too.
But why? I mean, like, for instance, Patrick Mahomes, does he not have a plethora of weapons that he can use at his disposal?
I mean, he does, but I would say that if you went player for player, our offensive skill players are better than theirs, though.
Okay, because I mean Travis Kelce just went off, right?
Well, so Kittle though.
So is this the same thing that's happening with Tua Tagovailoa? It's just the weapons. It's
To
not
an
the
extent,
quarterback.
yes.
It's just the weapons. A quick release for Jimmy Garoppolo, extending plays and being able to throw the ball over the top to George Kittle.
That was the play. That might have been my favorite play from him this entire year because he stepped up, eyes downfield, and he put an accurate ball to an uncovered Kittle. Like that play.
Angle route covered by Christian McCaffrey covered. Sneak peek at Debo running the slant. Hits Brandon Ayuk in the hole right there after he runs the whip route and sits down.
No, but that's the mental though.
1, 2, 3 reads.
He's going through his progressions and he's finding the old man.
And what was the comments about Jimmy Garoppolo all through the offseason? He's not a guy that can go through progressions. He goes 1 and 2 and that's it.
Which in the past was accurate.
So
to an extent.
But now that you've got the guys, is he not the point guard of this team, leading the way, getting the guys the ball in what he does really well, quick release, making sure he does the mental part of the game? Isn't that exactly what you need? The dream team, they needed John Stockton. They didn't need Isaiah Thomas. They didn't need a scorer.
Isaiah Thomas had no chance to be on that team anyway. So
I'm not saying that. I'm saying from a skill set point of view.
It was either him or Mike J. And
I'm saying from a skill set point of view. Leave the other out of it. Think about it. Do they need Isaiah Thomas's skill set, or do they need John Stockton's?
Well, that, I mean, in an extent, yes. But either one of those guys was going to be the backup to Urban Magic Johnson, though.
You're right. And what does Magic do? Is he a facilitator?
The best ever.
Oh, okay. So what is Jimmy Garoppolo?
I mean, in a lot of ways, a quarterback is the point guard of the offense.
Yeah, but he's getting penalized for having great weapons and then getting them the football where they can be very successful.
Oh, no, I agree. The Tua comparison it is bad because it's literally like Tua is underthrowing Waddle and Tyreek by 20 yards, but because they're so fast, they're still open. So the idea that he's playing this great job of quarterback, I would say that Jimmy's actually been better than Tua, even though their numbers aren't necessarily very close. But it's the Waddle and Tyreek factor more than it is Tua factor, because we all saw when Tua didn't have an offensive kind of coach and didn't have that much speed and talent. Talking about should they move off of him?
Yeah.
So I think it's more about Tyreek and McDaniel than it is, and I would say potentially it's more about McCaffrey and Kyle necessarily, maybe a little more than Jimmy, because if you look at in the games since we've got McCaffrey, we're averaging 8 points a game more and 55 yards more a game. So the correlation is it starts with McCaffrey. He's enabling everybody else to be better at the job, as we talked about almost every single week now. So that includes Jimmy though too.
Oh yeah, I mean every great player makes another player better, right?
Exactly.
Joe Montana became even better when he got Jerry Rice.
The best of all time.
Right. But have we seen Jimmy Garoppolo play really well with a different set of players? I think we have. In 2019, there was no Brandon Ayuk. There was no Christian McCaffrey. There was no Elijah Mitchell. There was Emmanuel Sanders. There was a young Debo Samuel. There was a Raheem Mostert, and yet he still almost threw for 4,000 yards. And he had a pretty good season. So now that you've seen it with different weapons, could it not be the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo needs to get more credit than what he's getting?
Oh, no, he does deserve more credit, but the question is how much, though?
15 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
4 picks is a very good ratio.
Over 72% completion percentage over the last 3 games. Pretty good.
You know what I loved about that game last night? There was not that one throw. What the? How'd you not see that guy? Like
for 3 weeks, we haven't
gone
got
a few weeks in a row without that throw. Where it's like, what are you looking at?
He looks confident. He looks comfortable. The offensive line is giving him pretty good pockets. He's creating off schedule, and he's getting the ball to his playmakers.
Pretty good pockets. When it's Trent, Banks, Brunskill, and Brendel, they haven't allowed a sack this entire year.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. We're 10 games in.
Yeah, I mean, going into last night's game, PFF had the 49ers ranked the 8th best offensive line in the league.
It's better than that.
I think a lot of people would be very surprised to have heard that, though, right?
Absolutely.
All the talk, and us included, we need to do something on the offensive line.
It's scary.
Jake Brendel is going to start at center, but Jason, let's talk about those weapons, because there are weapons that are helping Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's not just weapons, it's weapons on weapons. They got so many guys, and one of the talks was, do the 49ers have too many weapons? Well, Kyle Shanahan put that all silence. That's what I say too. But silence it all. Brandon Ayuk was involved, Deebo Samuel's involved, Christian McCaffrey's involved, George Kittle's involved. It was him getting all of his players involved in areas where they could be successful, and each one of them had a really big game.
Yeah, I don't recall the Warriors saying, we have Steph and Clay and a couple other guys. Kevin Durant, we don't need you.
Well, what's interesting, right, if you think back to all the great 49ers offenses, you can find talent on talent. I mean, you're talking Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Tom Rathman, Roger Craig, Ricky Watt. I mean, every single,
Brent Jones.
Every single group of 49ers throughout the years, those offenses had tremendous weapons. And then they just were able to execute at a high level. So I don't think there's ever a such thing. Offensive coordinators, I know I do. I don't ever believe there's too many weapons. It makes it difficult to manage egos as far as touches. But if everyone's bought in,
winning though, and you never hear about teams mad about touches after they win Super Bowl. That doesn't happen.
I'll tell you what's crazy to me is I honestly did see people upset that Kyle Juszczyk didn't get more touches in this last game. I don't know what part of this offensive game plan made you think we need Kyle Juszczyk to touch the football more.
I mean, that could be the fact that people really like him, and
I like him too.
They admire all the dirty work that he does do. So that, but I don't think he's going, man, Kyle. I didn't touch the ball. We won 38-10, but I got no touches, bro.
He didn't get a touch. Ran up the middle for a first down.
But I mean, I know, but at the end of it, not like I didn't get no wheel route going 40 yards downfield though.
No, I don't think it's coming from Kyle Juszczyk. I'm just saying, in a new kind of way the NFL is perceived with fantasy, everyone wants everyone to get massive touches. And I thought the 49ers did a really good job. I mean, McCaffrey had over 100 scrimmage yards. Brandon Ayuk had 2 catches, 20 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Efficient.
Yeah, Deebo, the reverse is back, right? Everyone having to commit to Christian McCaffrey. Well blocked. Brendel with block 30 yards down the field.
Trent trucked a dude.
He trucks multiple dudes.
And Ayuk was down there too.
Ayuk's great. I love Ayuk blocking. He's fantastic. The weapons are all there. Kyle has everything he needs now to win. And I think that, this team is set to really explode. I think this is the first time we've seen this offense click where all the weapons felt like they were finally cohesively together.
This is probably the best offense that we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, this is a championship caliber offense because now defenses used to be able to pack the box to stop the 49ers. You go ahead and pack the box, and Kyle Shanahan's going to throw it 14 straight times and make you spread out.
What was interesting was the first half, they only ran the ball 8 times.
Yep. If you watch the game preview show, I kind of said that was going to happen because Arizona's run defense is actually really good.
I was
Zayvon Collins.
Out my parents' gutters.
Well, you could have been listening while doing that. You let us all down, Jason.
My dad, he talks about it.
I do know. Yeah, that's actually accurate. His dad talks a lot. But Isaiah Simmons, they had Zayvon Collins, J.J. Watt. They're good run stoppers. And I thought the 49ers did a great game plan. They spread them out. And then, boom, here comes the second half. Elijah Mitchell's the one that's just hammering.
Didn't even talk about him yet.
No, and that's another weapon. Jawan Jennings, Mr. Third Down. He didn't even have to make big plays on third down.
They were hardly ever in third down.
And when it was Deebo that was making those plays in this game, or Christian McCaffrey. I just think there's so many weapons. The 49ers have so many options. Absolutely love it. But Jason, not just an offense, but a 49ers elite defense. This defense now has shut out the last 3 teams in the second half. Got embarrassed against Kansas City, said never again. This isn't going to happen now. Of course, this isn't Patrick Mahomes. This isn't Travis Kelce. But you are only able to play the teams that you play, and they've done a fantastic job. What are your thoughts on this defense of the 49ers?
Well, since he came off suspension, D-Hop's been probably the best receiver in the sport. So and especially after the first quarter, they really locked him up pretty good. First quarter, I don't say he got loose, but he made a few plays.
Right.
But I think we saw his frustration with that penalty.
Oh yeah.
That was a big penalty. That really shifted the momentum of the game. And then two plays later, the interception, which, by the way, here's a little soapbox moment. You know what I'm gonna say, but I hate the down by contact when the receiver's foot touches the guy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that needs to be an attempt where you have to actively try and touch the guy, not just our feet got tangled up, so now he's down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's interesting, but you see it also on offensive side of the ball, right? Where you see a defender go flying over the top of an offensive defender and offensive player, and his foot touches him, and he's down by contact.
There needs to be an actual attempt to touch the person.
I think it's interesting, but it was a nice big play from Jimmy Ward. Connor should have caught the ball, but he didn't.
But he's not a good receiver, though.
And Ward is there to make the play, and it was a big play. The 49ers turned that into a touchdown. Oh. George Kittle play.
Field touchdown, yeah.
Where Jimmy created. That was that big, step up in the pocket and throw over the top. It was great. But this defense has been fantastic, and I do want to go through some of the things, with the defense because there's still injuries along the defensive line. 3 of the starting defensive linemen from the beginning of the season were not playing. No Armstead, no Kinlaw, no Ebucom. Yet the 49ers are still able to put pressure on the quarterback. And Colt McCoy was getting rid of the ball quickly, and the 49ers were still able to create 3 sacks. Of course, one of those because of a Hufanga blitz where Fred Warner gets Colt McCoy as he eludes the pocket. But let's talk about that interior defensive line a little bit. No Armstead and Kinlaw, no problem. Do you think it's no problem? And Dominican Sue said he chose the Eagles. The 49ers were at least in the mix, so they're admitting. When do you expect Armstead and Kinlaw to come back? And do you think the 49ers can win on defense whether they have Armstead and Kinlaw back or not?
If we're talking about going late into January, early February, they need Armstead back. I love what they're doing now, but the Eagles have a really good offensive line. Vikings O-line's pretty good.
They didn't look very good against Micah Parsons and those Cowboys.
Cowboys lead the league in sacks for a reason. So, and the Bucs O-line might be starting to at least be serviceable. We'll see. We'll see. Last couple weeks they've gotten it looks a little better.
Who they played?
Aaron Donald and then the Seahawks.
Yeah, that's it though. Aaron Donald, and then
that's why I said that. I didn't say that. I said Aaron Donald.
Everybody blocked Donald.
Hey, well, how they get hit, but we'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's nice to have your guys fall back into place that you intended them to be, right? We talked about that when E-Man down. Now it moves everybody up out of their intended spot, which will still survive, will still be fine, but they were behind him for a reason. The guys who are playing now are behind those 2 guys for a reason. So,
yeah, no, I think it helps the rotation for sure. If you get Armstead back, that means either Givens or Ridgeway is a part of the second part of the rotation, that Bravo unit that comes in. That also means that Kerry Hyder's more of a guy that can play on the edge as well. He can kind of fluctuate between both. Playing on the inside. He is slow, but he almost had an interception on the screen because of his recognition and intelligence playing the defensive line.
Because he couldn't just get up the line fast enough. I'm not sure which.
I don't know, but I actually seen him turn and go with the guy. So I think the defensive line could definitely use Armstead back. I think when that happens, that's also going to alleviate some of the pressure on Nick Bosa because he gets double teamed all the time.
All the time.
The closer we can get to full health along the defensive line, the better for the overall rotation. Nice to have Jordan Willis back for the last 2 weeks. He's looked good. Charles Omenihu continues his great pace. He's been putting lots of hurries. Yeah. So I think that these guys have really stepped up without Armstead and Kinlaw, but it would be really nice to get Armstead back. I have no idea what's going to happen with Kinlaw. We'll see if they open his practice window. But I think Armstead will come back at some point. And I think the way the D-line is played, it gives them time.
Week 13, I've heard, is kind of what they're looking
at. Okay, so potentially week 13, according to Jay Hill, is what he's hearing. We just went through week 11, right? So we got maybe
that should be the Tampa game, right?
That would be the Miami game, right? December 4th.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Miami would be the target for potentially Armstead coming back. What a game, right? He gets to come back, and the first thing he sees is Jeff Wilson Jr. Raheem Mostert.
And Raheem, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting overall. They could use him in that game. But let's talk a little bit about the secondary, and here's why. A lot of people come through the channel all the time and say, you know what, we need to get another cornerback because they're really concerned about Jimmy Ward playing nickel. They're concerned about Deommodore Lenoir playing on the outside. But Deommodore Lenoir was one of the best ranked in this game, again, from PFF. Travis Ward traveling with the best receiver has definitely helped him out a lot. But overall, it's been pretty quiet against Lenoir. And we've seen teams before. You get a guy out there, they'll pick on him. Ambry Thomas got picked on a lot last year. They're still picking on Josh Norman. He doesn't even play anymore. That's just how bad it is. But I thought Deommodore Lenoir's done pretty good. There are some options out there. There's still players available. But do you think the secondary is kind of set for the 49ers?
Barring another injury, it feels like this is kind of who Kyle and John and D'Amico are okay with. Like I don't necessarily see them now. Do I agree with that? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're practice every day. I'm only there a week, so what they see every
practice once a week.
Don't tell anyone, but I'm on down low. What they see, I guess they're okay with. I know we have the cap room to bring somebody in if need be. So if with all that information, if they're not going after anybody, they're okay. And if they're okay, I guess I'll have to just grit my teeth and be okay too.
Yeah, I think that I actually have less questions about Deommodore Lenoir on the outside than I do about Jimmy Ward playing in the nickel. But Kyle Shanahan, once again, doubled down with what he said to Matt Miyoko.
He's all in about that.
Yeah, they think that Jimmy Ward's one of the best cover guys on the team. They feel confident with Gip, as they call him, playing safety. And there's no imminent change. And really, that could be their best unit. That might be better than, Deommodore Lenoir, Samuel Womack, and Jimmy Ward at safety. So I think that right now they're going with what works best. But it was nice to see Samuel Womack get a few plays. And what I did like is when he had to go out there and play when Jimmy Ward got cramps, they moved Lenoir into the slot, and they let Womack play on the outside. He got tested, but he contested balls right away. I thought he looked good. I think Womack's continuing to develop. That's good for the future of the 49ers secondary. And honestly, I feel more comfortable with the secondary this year than I did last year.
Oh, way, way, way more. last couple of years, this secondary is a lot better.
Yeah, I'm with you. And
I love it.
Jason, with all this that's going on with the 49ers, where's their place in the NFC? The 49ers, of course, the power rankings have had them anywhere from 8 to 11 over the last several weeks. Where exactly do you see them now? They're first place in the NFC West. They're the number 3 seed. If the playoffs were to happen today, they would play the New York Football Giants in round 1. What do you think about this overall, and where would you slot the 49ers amongst the best in the NFC?
What's interesting about this is one of the stats that Vegas loves in terms of trying to set their lines is turnover margin. And that's why Vegas has been so in love with the Eagles, because the Eagles, as of 2 weeks ago, were like plus 16. They're now like plus 8. Like last couple of games, they've turned the ball over a ton, and they've gotten San Francisco, as of this morning, is a -1. And yet, San Francisco's almost every other key stat, yards per pass, yards per play, on both sides of the ball, is top 5, basically, all those. So when you look at our, and that goes to partially to how great our defense is, we don't have to rely on turnovers. Whereas my beloved USC Trojans, we have to rely on turnovers all the time because our defense is dreadful. Yeah, but we're still gonna be in the playoff though, so that's okay.
Gotta win the Pac-12 championship
and beat Notre Dame too. But,
oh yeah, I forgot about Notre Dame.
Yes. Eventually the turnover margin will kind of keep up. I'll bet you by the end of the year we're +6 or +7. I really think that San Francisco, that there is nobody in the NFC that you can line up and say, oh, they're for sure better. I really don't. Like I really think on any given Sunday, whether it's in Dallas or in New York or in Philadelphia or in Minnesota, San Francisco would be a favorite almost against every team, I'd say at this point. And I would be surprised if they lost.
So where do you have them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are you at with it? Wow, you're like Schefter. You're getting a call.
What's up, Kyle?
Somebody calling you saying you better put us number 1.
They're the best team in the NFC as of right now.
Ooh, I love it. Jason goes with it. I love it. I think that right now, from what I've seen with the Eagles for the last 2 games, I think the 49ers are playing as one of the best teams. I don't think that the game against the Chargers really showed, but this last week did. I thought the Cowboys had a good performance. I think they're up there as well. I think Minnesota kind of showed who I thought they were.
You are who we thought they were.
Yeah, they're pretty good. You know, they're the same like with the Giants, right? They're pretty good, but they have holes. They have question marks. Kirk Cousins winning in primetime, question mark. Daniel Jones being able to execute an offense, question mark. I think that when it comes down to it, the 49ers are definitely one of those top 3 teams. I think it is, 49ers, Eagles, and Cowboys. People will have them in all different orders, but that is the main teams right here in the NFC as far as, rankings go.
See, I'm not sure where I am yet on the Cowboys because
you don't like Dak.
Well, that too, but I just watched that vaunted Cowboy defense go up to Lambeau where the Packers aren't scoring 20 points a game and blow a 14-point fourth quarter lead. So
yeah, they got Christian Watson.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's actually starting to actually.
Yeah, he's fast.
Okay, but
he's really fast. It just outruns everyone. Nice.
So where are the Cowboys? Are they the team that just was up 28-14 and lost? Or are they the team that just beat the hell out of the Vikings?
No, I think that's why they're in the conversation for the top 3, but I'm not sure. That's why I'm not putting them number 1 for sure. I think that they're in the conversation for the top 3, and I think overall, because of that defense, they are one of the better teams in the league overall. But I get what you're saying about Green Bay.
I'd have them 4th.
That's fine. Who do you have 3rd then?
Tampa.
I'm sorry, that offensive line is not impressive at all.
I know, but Tom always finds a way to kind of pull things together, and until in January or a little bit later, and as long as they're alive still, we can't just sit there and say like, oh, they're toast, they're done. Like,
oh, I don't think they're done by any means.
They're starting to get healthy. Like, they had a ton of injuries though too. Now losing Shaq Barrett will be a killer for their pass rush,
and their offensive line is just. I mean, Jensen's gone. Like they're completely eaten up on the interior offensive line. I mean, they don't even have Stenny, and he was a backup, and they said they got a backup to the backup.
But Tom just manages to kind of piece things together, though.
Let's talk about another NFC South team that's not Tampa Bay. But let's talk about the New Orleans Saints, because that's who the 49ers are playing next. They got a nice matchup with New Orleans. Well, for whatever reason, the league decided finally the Saints have to come to 49ers. It feels like we play in New Orleans every single time that they play. But now they're coming here. They're led by the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. They've got Alvin Kamara still, no Michael Thomas.
Chris Olave's nice, though.
Chris Olave's good.
He's big time. He's coming fast.
Well, that's good, but you have to have more than one weapon against this 49ers defense, I think. Jason, what do you think about this game? What are some of the the things you're looking forward to seeing between 49ers and Saints?
So first of all, I'm gravely disappointed in the Saints this year. I really thought that that was kind of my sleeper team in the NFC, as you all remember. I said, watch out for the Saints.
They've been asleep for half the season.
They've been asleep for the entire season, really. That for whatever reason, that defense just hasn't been the same that's been the last 4 or 5 years, where it's always been really, really good. Almost the exact same roster, and they add Tyrann Mathieu. I'm really surprised that I'm between them and the Packers. I'm probably a little more surprised by the Saints than the Packers. I didn't really buy the Packers a ton because of how much they rely on Devontae. So I'd probably say that the Packers or the Saints are my biggest surprise in the negative in the NFC. That being said, don't let a little dog get up. Stomp him down early and keep it down. Like don't give them any hope at, by halftime that we're hanging around. Make Andy Dalton be mobile. Make him throw into tight windows, and he will give us the ball a couple times. And then offense, just keep doing what we're doing. It's not rocket science. It's working. Go.
Yeah, I think one thing that's going to be tough for the 49ers is just locating Alvin Kamara. He can do everything. He can run the ball, he can catch it out of the backfield. But they have a pretty good idea of what a player like that does. I've seen them slow down Christian McCaffrey when he was with the Panthers. I've seen them slow down Austin Eckler. And Alvin Kamara's in that same sort of mold about running back. 49ers stop the run early, make Andy Dalton be the one that beats them. I think they're going to be okay. I think Chris Olave will have a couple big plays in the game. Because that's just who he is. But I think the 49ers are well-equipped on defense to be able to handle the strengths of the Saints offense. And I think this defense is just playing so well right now. D'Amico Ryans is going to feel very confident. They're going to have the crowd behind them. I think all those things are big. And then also a little bit of a distraction coming with New Orleans as Jameis Winston is starting to get vocal about the fact that he lost his job. To
an injury.
Yeah, so
they don't do that kind of stuff here.
Yeah, so he's not happy about it. I get where he's coming from, but that's a little bit of a distraction and something that could possibly, all of a sudden the players are having to answer questions about Jameis Winston instead of the 49ers. It could get them, their thoughts going the wrong way. Plus, they're pretty much out of it. So how many of those guys are getting ready to go fishing, getting ready to go gambling and all that? Cancun trips are on the horizon for the Saints. What do you think overall, though? Let's get into a bold prediction. Give me a bold prediction for the Saints versus 49ers.
For the Saints, I thought you wanted one bigger than that.
You're ready for one bigger than that?
I told you.
Go bigger. Not Saints, not 49ers. Go big with your bold prediction.
San Francisco, at worst, ends up with the number 2 seed.
Ooh, I like it. At worst, the number 2 seed means they're going to run down the Vikings at least. I think if the Eagles would have lost that game to the Colts, the 49ers would have the potential to run down both.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if they're going to be able to because the Eagles so far have been kind of eking out those victories. But I like that.
Clock will strike midnight them too. So
I like that. So the 49ers at least get the second, which means they're going to have home field advantage all the way to the NFC Championship game.
No, it'll be at Levi's.
That's why I said home field advantage all the way until the NFC Championship game.
I'm saying that will be at
Levi's you think the Eagles get knocked off?
I do, yeah.
Wow. Jay Hill, bold. Whoa.
The breaks? No.
Whew, here we go. And now let's get a game score prediction. 49ers versus New Orleans Saints. How do you see this one going, Jason? I'm curious.
31-17.
31-17. I love it. The Niners get over 30 points again. They hold the Saints under 20. I think that's a recipe for success. I love it. I had the 49ers last week winning 34-17, so that seems like a very fun number. We'll see what I end up saying for the Saints later on during the game preview show. That'll be coming up later this week. But thanks, everyone, for joining us for the Ant Hill Show. I hope you guys all have a very good Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy yourselves. Spend time with family. Watch a little ball. You can watch some of the NFC teams like the Giants and the Cowboys. It's
Lions and Buffalo are playing too.
Yeah,
and
position seeding, in the playoffs. So
the Patriots and
I don't remember.
I was looking. I was like, that game kind of sucks. I don't want to watch that game.
But yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy your Turkey Day, and we'll catch you guys next week for another Ant Hill Show. What a great one! But Jason, until the next time, we'll see everyone later. Go Niners.